So how many of you in the audience have a wearable device? Great. Maybe you have a Fitbit because you like to count your steps, or maybe you have an Apple Watch because you are trendy and you want to stay connected, or maybe you have a Garmin because you're an avid runner. How many of you love your wearable device? Well, do you love it because of what it does for you, or do you love it because of what you paid for it? Or maybe you're in the category that you no longer love your wearable device. Maybe the mundane task of charging it every day, day after day, week after week, month after month, only for it to tell you how many steps you took or how well you slept, often incorrectly, is not exciting anymore. But what if your wearable device could be transformed? What if it could run for a week at a time or a month at a time? What if it could run continuously, powered by you? No charging or changing of batteries. Self-powered wearable. And on top of that, it provided you meaningful information, engaged you, alerted you, without requiring any maintenance from you. Would that make you love your wearable device? Good. If you had such a wearable device, the question is, what would you want to do with it? Activity monitoring, sleep monitoring, location. Sure, that's easy. In fact, wearables are rapidly trending as game changers in the area of fitness, self-improvement, and productivity. But if we just limit it to those features, we might be missing the boat on a huge opportunity for a paradigm shift. And this opportunity is in the area of healthcare. And let's talk about healthcare. Let's talk about the healthcare of Americans. My health, your health, our health. Turns out that in the US alone, we spend 17% of our GDP on healthcare. That's $4 trillion. Turns out that 75% of these costs are connected to chronic conditions. I'm talking about asthma, diabetes, cardiovascular disease. Unfortunately, several of you in this room are probably suffering from these chronic conditions or know someone in your family that's suffering from chronic conditions. In fact, 1 in 3 Americans suffer from multiple chronic conditions. What's worse is that we only go and see our doctors 4 times a year. If each visit is 1 hour long, then that leaves 8,700 hours in the year where we are not getting monitored for our health care. That's a lot of time. And let me tell you another interesting fact. Did you know that your environmental exposure to toxins can impact your health? It turns out that the CDC and the EPA have found that there are many chronic conditions like cancers, autoimmune diseases, and asthma that are connected to environmental toxins. These can alter your biological pathways and lead to early aging and chronic disease onset. Asthma is a simple example. If you have asthma and you go into an area that has poor air quality, then your asthma can get triggered. It also turns out that exposure to toxins at an early age can impact your health later in life, but the direct causality is not known. What we do know is that 40% of Americans are currently living in air quality that is not approved by the American Lung Association. So now let me go back to my question and ask you, if you had a wearable device that was self-powered by you and provided meaningful information, what would you want to do with it? And let me show you some possibilities. What if you could prevent somebody from going into hyper or hypoglycemia by continuously and non-invasively monitoring their glucose levels? What if you could prevent deaths from sudden cardiac arrests by continuously monitoring someone's heart conditions? And what if you could predict the onset of an epileptic seizure and prevent the individual from ending up in dangerous situations? There are, in fact, many more life-altering opportunities if and only if we can build technology, wearable technologies that individuals, young and old, rich and poor, can wear without having to worry about charging them, that can provide critical information about your health that can help you and your doctor manage your wellness. Not manage your illness, but manage your wellness. Do you think that's a paradigm change? Great. All right, so you might be wondering if this is possible to build such devices. And I'm here to tell you that in the National Science Foundation Center for Advanced Self-Powered Systems of Integrated Sensors and Technologies, ASSIST for short, we are building these self-powered, body-powered devices that you can use to manage your wellness. I'm the director of this center, and I lead a team of scientists and engineers who are working on this problem. North Carolina State University is the lead university, and we work very closely with the University of Virginia, Penn State University, Florida International University, University of Michigan, and University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. We also work very closely with industry partners because they help us take our research ideas from the labs into commercial products. Now, this is a very challenging problem that we are targeting, but with science and engineering and innovation, we are well on our way to making this a reality for you. Let me show you how. In order to achieve these always-on devices, there's one principle or requirement we must follow, and that's that the power that you generate must be greater than the power you consume. This will keep the device on all the time. Let's talk about power generation. The first question you may ask is, well, how do you get power from the human body to charge up all of these health sensors? It turns out that as you're sitting in this room, the temperature difference between your skin and the air that you're sitting in can be converted to usable electrical power using special devices called thermoelectrics. In fact, in the ASSIST Center, we are building these devices. And here is an example of what they look like. They're made from flexible materials, stretchable materials, and nanocomposites so that they can not only give high performance, but also they can be comfortable when you wear them on your body. In fact, the picture on the right was made just for you today. Let me show you how this works. So Amin is a student in the ASSIST Center, and he's going to show you how, when these technologies are put together in wearable form factors, they can in fact generate power from the body and convert it to usable power. So here's a video. And as soon as the armband is placed on Amin's skin, there's heat harvesting that lights up the LED. And as soon as the armband is then taken off of the skin, the LED turns off. With proper engineering, we can not only light one LED, but multiple LEDs, and more importantly, multiple health sensors. Now, body heat is not the only source of power. We want to harvest your body motion. In fact, we want to harvest all kinds of power. When you're running outside, we want to harvest your body heat and your body motion. When you're sitting on the couch relaxing at night and you're not moving much, we want to harvest your body heat. And when you're sleeping under the covers at night, and there's not that much difference in temperature between your skin and the air right above it, we want to harvest your breathing motion. In fact, we want to harvest all kinds of power to ensure that your health sensors stay on for you. You become the battery to power your wellness. Let's talk about the second critical component here. We must make sure that the power that's consumed by these various electronic components is less than the power that you generate, again, to make sure that the device stays on. It turns out that commercial electronic devices or components take too much power and will not be able to help us satisfy this requirement. So in addition to developing harvesting technologies from the body for power, we must also lower the consumption of the power. This is precisely what the ASSIST Center is doing, engineering both sides of the power problem. We have built low-power electronics, such as radios, that communicate information from your wearable device to your phone, operating at very low powers. We can also measure your blood oxygen levels and even your environmental exposures to toxins like ozone, which are important for asthmatics. All of these sensors and electronics are working at power levels that are low enough that they can be supported by the power that's generated from your body. Let me show you this in action. Here is James, another student in the Assist Center, who's going to show you that when these low-power electronics are integrated into a wearable form factor, working at low powers, he can generate a full ECG signal and send it wirelessly to his base station, which could be a phone or a computer. As you can see, he is also wearing the armband that can enable him to harvest power. It is only because of the ultra-low power operation of all of these various components, the sensors, the radios, and the processor chip, that we can achieve this capability. In addition to physiological parameters and environmental sensors, we also want to understand your biochemical status. But we want to do this non-invasively. Using breathable patches that are made out of cellulose materials, we can absorb your sweat on your skin and measure your sugar levels continuously. So I have given you a few examples of the kinds of technologies that we are developing in the Assist Center. But the main question is, what is the impact of all of these technologies? With our technologies, a cardiac patient can have a health watcher by his side that can continuously and vigilantly measure his electrocardiogram and protect him. If an anomaly occurs, this device can alert the patient and also send the data to the cloud securely, alerting his doctors. If a child with asthma goes to play in his school backyard that is right next to a highway with diesel and particles, then our devices can measure his environmental exposures to toxins and at the same time measure his respiration, providing rapid relief before he experiences even one labored breath. Diabetes is a huge epidemic. The #1 complaint of diabetics are the finger pricks. Our cellulose-based breathable patches can measure glucose in the sweat continuously and non-invasively. The impact on diabetics is obvious, but even individuals who are not diabetic or pre-diabetic can use this technology to understand the impact of their diet on their sugar level and help manage their glycemic index. And remember, I mentioned that we only go and see our doctors 4 times a year? Well, these kinds of devices can help us monitor ourselves during those large gaps in the year, but also monitor us in our own comfortable home settings. Now, even beyond these examples that I've given you, there's another huge opportunity. And that opportunity is enabled by these always-on devices. As you can imagine, these devices can generate a lot of data. And this data can do 2 powerful things. First, it can allow us to look for early warnings or identifying signatures for life-threatening conditions like strokes and heart attacks and help save lives. And second, these long-term data patterns that we are getting can establish your own personal health baseline. So if in your 40s, your blood pressure suddenly goes up, we can now compare it to your blood pressure a month before that, a year before that, or even 15 years before that, and not compare it to an average population blood pressure. You are not the average. You're your own individual with your own personal data. So I hope I've conveyed to you that with energy harvesting from the body and low-power sensors, we can build devices that can become your companions for a long time. These devices will always be there for you. They will never let you down just because you forgot to charge them. And guess what? They're also green. So if you're inspired by this vision and mission, then here's your call to action. Since I'm an engineering professor, I'll start off by saying that if you're a student in the audience, here or at IMAX, consider going into engineering, electrical engineering, chemical engineering, biomedical engineering. Engineers are really crucial for our society. If you are in the medical profession, help us validate our technologies by giving us use cases. If you're a teacher, take these ideas into your classroom and help us inspire the next generation of innovators. If you're in the data sciences, or human factors, or even social sciences, help us understand what does it really take to change human behavior. If you're in policymaking, help us lower the barriers for adoption while still protecting patient privacy. And if you're an artist, help us design impactful form factors that can really help these technologies become adopted and used. I'm confident that together we can achieve data-driven delivery of medicine that is personalized, preventative, and low cost, but above all, can improve the quality of life for you and your loved ones. Thank you.